everyone. Welcome to Gate to Wire. Wow, we have a packed house today. I'm Bruce Casella along with Dani Gibson, and we have two special guests. That's right, Dick Jerardi and Michael McCarthy, who will saddle Preakness winner journalism in the Belmont Stakes. Hello, everyone. How you doing, Michael?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, DJ.
Absolutely. Michael, after the last three races, how much would you enjoy a clean trip for journalism in the Belmont Stakes?
Yeah, certainly that'd be awfully nice. I thought when we broke the other day in the Preakness and got away from there cleanly, I thought it would be smooth sailing from there. It only took about 48 seconds for that to change.
The post position would suggest that he should get a clean run. I know you said you didn't really care, but at this point, wouldn't you rather just be outside so you don't have those issues?
I think so. I mean, the horses run well when he's been drawn down inside of horses. He's been in every scenario possible. Everyone was worried about him not having enough experience with trouble and traffic and what have you before the Kentucky Derby. I think we've put that to rest now. Drawn 7 of 8, we can kind of bounce on out of there. I'm sure that there will be some sort of a fairly quick pace up in front of us. Rodriguez, Baeza, Crudo. So we'll leave it up to Umberto and journalism just to kind of find their spot there going into the first turn.
Michael, the one thing I noticed when watching him run, he's a good turn runner, but he's an awesome straightaway runner. Did you see that early on, just how good he is when he gets in the straights?
Yeah, I think that first kind of really hit me when in the Los Alamitos Futurity. It looked like he hit a little bit of a flat spot. And then when he switched to his right leads and got his momentum going through the lane, he really leveled off and finished big time. Then coming back again, we saw it in the Santa Anita Derby. He was kind of boxed in down inside from the 4 furlong pole all the way to the quarter pole, or coming to the quarter pole. Then once he was able to swing outside, you saw the same thing again. And the Preakness, that was something I haven't seen too many horses ever do.
Dani?
Yeah, no, really excited. Been a big fan of journalism. So race day is a long day as it is. Can you tell us what journalism day is like? The racetrack starts bright and early, but these classic races are much later in the day. Can you take us through what the groom will do when he gets there to lead him over?
Yeah, it's basically 7 o'clock post time on these big nights, big days, which seem like they turn into nights. But his day on Saturday will be fairly easy. We'll get him out around 7 o'clock. He'll spend about 45 minutes outside of his stall, get a big bath and walk and maybe have a little pick of grass. And then later on that afternoon, we'll get him out again and just a leisurely walk, 15 minutes or so. And then race day preparations begin, sort of like you'd see a big time athlete, a little bit of ice, a little bit of a massage, those types of things. We get called over to the paddock about an hour before post. So he'll have a few walks around the shed row, head on over to the receiving barn. Everybody gets in uniform and in line over in the receiving barn, and we make our way over to the paddock. So the whole thing from leaving the barn to post time is about, and finishing up the race and walking off the racetrack is about an hour and a half. So an easy day. Most of the heavy lifting has been done by that time.
Yeah, he seems like he's a really cool horse to be around. He's very athletic. Has he had the same exercise rider and groom? And can you tell me about the role they've played in his part?
Yeah, Mark Witkowski's been getting on him for about 6 months now. Horse and rider really respect each other. They both have great admiration for each other. You can kind of see it in both of them. They're hand in glove really at this point. Rolando Navas, his groom, has been with him from day one. So that's been since July of last year. So a lot of familiar surroundings. There was no big deal when we shipped him to Churchill Downs and then again to Pimlico and now here to Saratoga. So familiar faces all around for him.
Bruce?
Yeah, Saratoga seems like a natural place for a horse. So I'm sure he's enjoying it up there with all the trees and all the different things that he can do.
Yeah, definitely. It's, low 50s, high 40s, a couple of mornings here. If anything, that's what you would want for a horse like him that's had a couple of solid efforts in a row. Saratoga is just so good for horses. They just get kind of revitalized up here, whether it be the cool weather, the walking across Union Avenue to go to the main track, the amount of horses that are on the Oklahoma when we go over there and school in the gate and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of options, all kinds of things for him to do. Today we walked him through the paddock before we went out and jogged 1.25 miles. Seemed to enjoy that. He'll go back to the paddock once later this week and just have a schooling saddle on him and stuff like that. So at this stage, we're not too worried about his fitness. We're just worried about keeping him fresh, wanting to see him happy. He had a nice work here the other day, 1/2 mile, 47-3. Really was going through the lane nicely the other day. So he's telling us he's fit and ready.
We have this big race in September, the Pennsylvania Derby Grade 1 event. We would sure love to have you come there. Is it maybe a possibility that you can bring him there?
Yeah, I think you've got to keep everything in play with a horse like him. We get done here this Saturday. You've got things like the Haskell, the Travers, the Pennsylvania Derby. Obviously, at some point, I'm sure he'll make his way back to California and get a little sun on his back. But all these big days and big money pots are kind of what you're in it for. You're hoping to participate in these kind of races, and not so much participate, but with a horse like him, you're hoping to win.
Do you enjoy it?
I do, yeah. Horses like him don't come around all that often. We're fortunate enough to have our fair share of winners throughout the course of the year and be able to tighten the girth on some very nice horses. But a horse like him who's kind of separated himself and put himself in a different league, we definitely are enjoying it.
Michael, it's interesting. He's back at Saratoga. 2 years ago, he was sold up there as a yearling. And you told me a funny story when we talked this morning. You were in Fasig-Tipton, the pavilion that night. Tell us about that night and what you thought was going to happen after he went for $825.
Certainly. Obviously, when I saw the price tag, $825,000, Eclipse Thoroughbreds and what have you, my first inclination is that the horse would end up with Todd Pletcher. Todd has been kind of like the Eclipse go-to back here on the East Coast since its inception. So to have a horse like him show up in Del Mar, certainly a pleasant surprise.
When you got him, what did you see originally, and when did you know what you had?
He sort of touted himself right off the bat. These better 2-year-olds, they just do things with such ease. He would work as fast as his company mate. He would work as slow as his company mate. We could gallop him behind a horse, alongside of a horse, take him to the starting gate, walk behind the starting gate. He'd kind of cock a hind leg and just let you know he was cool and composed back there. And he has, I said it before, which is, I guess, his secret weapon was his mind. It's not such a secret now, but I think everybody's seen that.
Oh, Michael, up till now, City of Light would be the most accomplished horse you've had. Is Journalism now going to be the best horse you've ever had? Are we ready?
I think he's making his way. Obviously a horse like City of Light was a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner, a Pegasus winner. The Pegasus was still kind of early in its inception. It was only a $9 million race at that point, but and it's only a $3 million race now. I feel sorry for these people who are only winning these $3 million pots. But yes, I learned a lot with City of Light, and it's certainly a lesson or two that I've brought along with this Journalism ride here. I think Journalism is steadily climbing his way up the ladder as the best we've trained.
Mike, your whole team, you have a huge day on Saturday. You're running at 3 different tracks. Will that help distract you?
Yeah, that will. Just kind of, it's nice to be able to participate at Santa Anita, Churchill Downs, and Saratoga. So 3 great racetracks, hoping for great results at all 3 spots.
Yeah, well, we're rooting for you big here.
Thank you.
Well, best of luck on Saturday, Michael.
All right, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me on.